Picture this. It's 9 o'clock at night, Mansoura, 2018. A pretty standard apartment building,
Yeah.
middle class, quiet, until it isn't. Up on the fourth floor, the silence just shatters. First, there's this horrible thudding sound, like a struggle. And then screams. Not just any screams, children's screams. High, terrified, crying for their father. Downstairs, people react fast. Neighbors are running out, heading for the stairs. They hear the noise, they know something's wrong. They start banging on the door of that fourth floor apartment. Hard. But it's locked tight. But while that's happening upstairs, something else unfolds below. A completely different sound. A heavy impact on the pavement. A body. Two awful events happening almost at the same time. One inside, one outside.
Right. And what connects them is this unbelievable double life that just imploded, utterly collapsed in minutes. This story. Well, it's a deep dive into how some really strange psychological needs, this whole architecture built on avoiding any kind of upset, led to a plan that was supposed to satisfy everyone, but instead it ended in two sudden, violent deaths. We really need to go back maybe 9 years to see how this whole lethal situation started.
Yeah, that's our mission here. How does a marriage that seemed, devoted, comfortable, how does it end like this? Husband stabbed to death in his bed, the wife's lover dead on the street below, and the wife herself, miles away, dancing at a wedding, completely carefree, apparently. Okay, let's start back in 2009. Let's talk about Anhar. The sources really paint a picture of her defining trait being this overwhelming tenderness, like an almost pathological need to nurture. But it had this very specific condition attached. She hated causing sadness,
Yeah.
especially in men. And that meant she always had to be older than her partner. She actually said she liked to treat her partner, and this is a quote, like her son, the spoiled one.
And that's really the core of it, psychologically speaking. It wasn't just a preference, was it? It sounds like a need for control. By choosing younger men, she puts herself in this dominant, nurturing role. She's the source of comfort, affection. She's in charge. It's like this pathological maternal thing where the partner is dependent so he can't challenge her. And critically, he can't make her uncomfortable by being unhappy or demanding something she doesn't want to give.
Okay, so enter Mohamed in 2009. He fits the bill perfectly. He's 21, described as hardworking, travels a lot for his construction finishing job. He meets Anhar in Kafr el-Sheikh. She's 24, just 3 years older. Exactly what she needed.
Exactly. And Mohamed, he was apparently completely taken by her tenderness. He
Yeah.
saw this loving, doting wife. Laura, on the other hand, saw someone young, maybe a bit naive, who she could shower with affection and, well, manage. This imbalance, him getting comfort, her getting control, that was the foundation. Fragile, as it turned out. She wasn't just loving him, she was creating this bubble for him, an indulgence bubble.
And things moved fast. They got married within a year, moved to Mansoura. 2 kids followed pretty quickly in the first 3 years. And by all accounts, Mohamed was happy, genuinely happy. He thought he had this amazing life, full of comfort, maybe even indulgence. He had no idea. Because behind this carefully crafted picture of domestic bliss, Anhar was leading other lives, parallel lives. For the first 6 years of the marriage, sources say she had this weakness for men. She was constantly seeking out casual relationships, always with younger guys. It kept feeding that need, to be the nurturing one, the one in control.
The kind of staggering, the mental gymnastics required to keep that going.
Yeah.
She apparently operated under this bizarre idea that all parties should be happy, like some kind of emotional accountant. So these were short affairs, a day here, a month there, always younger men. And she always ended them calmly. No drama, no consequences, she thought. She kept her home life running perfectly, Mohamed happy and clueless, while getting her own needs met elsewhere. It compartmentalized to an extreme degree.
But that system, that balance she maintained, it couldn't last forever. Things changed in 2017. This is 8 years into the marriage. Anhar's 32 now. She meets a guy named Ramy. He's 23. She meets him while traveling back to Kafr el-Sheikh.
And Ramy wasn't like the others. He wasn't just a transaction. The sources say Anhar found true love with him. This wasn't just scratching an itch. This felt permanent to her, deep. And Ramy, he was a labor worker, and he apparently found everything he wanted in her, that intense love, tenderness, and containment. He felt seen, maybe, understood by her.
But that depth, that real emotion, it put huge pressure on her whole setup. For about a year, she's juggling them both. It must have been incredibly stressful. Coordinating Ramy's visits from Kafr el-Sheikh to Mansoura, making sure Mohamed was away traveling for work, always managing the kids, managing the schedules, just constant management.
The cracks were definitely starting to show. Her whole life was built on controlling everyone's feelings, right? But Ramy's genuine love, his demands, that threatened her control. He wasn't just a temporary fix anymore.
And it finally blew up in 2018. Ramy's 24 by now. He gets intensely jealous. Understandable, maybe. He starts demanding she divorce Mohamed. He wants to marry her, make it official, live openly. And here's where it gets truly, deeply disturbing. Anhar refuses. But not because she doesn't love Ramy, or because she still loves Mohamed in a conventional way. She tells Ramy she can't ask for a divorce because she can't bear the thought of the shock and sadness it would cause Mohamed. So when Ramy apparently brings up the idea of murder, she doesn't recoil. She sees it as a solution.
It defies logic, doesn't it? How is plotting a murder less emotionally damaging than a divorce? But for Anhar, it seems murder was the easiest, most suitable option, because it avoided the direct confrontation. It avoided having to see Mohamed's pain, his reaction. It bypassed the difficult conversation she dreaded. It was a way to solve the problem structurally, violently, without facing the emotional fallout head-on. Or so she thought.
Easier. Killing the father of her children is easier than signing papers. That level of conflict avoidance is something else. It sounds like profound entitlement mixed with a terrifying lack of empathy. And she treats it like a project plan. She sets conditions for Ramy, non-negotiable. 1, has to look like a robbery gone wrong. 2, she decides the exact time and place. And 3, she needs a rock-solid alibi. Airtight.
And the alibi was clever, you have to admit. Diabolically so. There was a wedding coming up in Kafr el-Sheikh about a month away. If she was there, visibly celebrating, surrounded by dozens of people who could possibly suspect her, she'd be untouchable.
So the plan is in place. Fast forward to the night itself, 2018. That morning, Anhar goes to Kafr el-Sheikh. She meets Ramy. And she gives him a copy of the apartment key. No forced entry, remember. Gotta maintain the robbery story. Evening comes. 2 scenes playing out. Scene 1, Anhar at the wedding. And she's not just there, she's dancing excessively, making a real show of it, making sure everyone sees how happy she is, how involved she is, locking down that alibi. Scene 2, Ramy arrives in Mansoura. He's outside the apartment building, waiting, watching.
Then, around 10:30 p.m., he uses the key, slips into the apartment, quietly. Mohamed is asleep. The kids are asleep. It seems like the plan's going smoothly. But the plan didn't account for Mohamed waking up or fighting back.
Ramy goes into the bedroom, pulls the knife, attacks. Mohamed wakes instantly. He doesn't just submit, he fights for his life, pushes Ramy back, starts screaming. And the screams wake the children. They see it happening. They start screaming too. Total chaos.
The whole plan just disintegrates right there. It becomes a brutal, messy struggle. Neighbors now pounding on the door, shouting. People are gathering down on the street, alerted by the noise. But Ramy doesn't stop. Panic, maybe desperation. He keeps attacking. In the end, Mohamed has 12 stab wounds. He collapses. He's dead.
And the escape. It's a disaster. Ramy's trapped. Neighbors at the door. Commotion everywhere. He sees the balcony, 4th floor. In sheer panic, he makes a run for it. He tries to jump, maybe aiming for another balcony, maybe just trying to get away, but he misses or misjudges. He falls, hits the pavement below hard. He dies instantly. So now you have 2 dead men, minutes apart, one upstairs, one down. And Anhar, still dancing, miles away, performing joy. The police arrive to, utter confusion. 2 bodies, one inside the locked apartment, one dead on the street. First thing they notice, no forced entry. That's huge. It means the killer likely had a key or was let in. The apartment isn't ransacked either. It's tidy. Doesn't look like a robbery. It looks like murder.
Right. So attention turns to the man on the street, Ramy. They find his ID. He's a worker from Kafr el-Sheikh. And crucially, they find a copy of the apartment key on him. So the big question becomes, why would a guy from Kafr el-Sheikh travel all the way to Mansoura just to kill this other man, Mohamed? Initially, they think maybe it's work-related, some kind of feud.
Then Anhar shows up, and she puts on quite a show, collapses, apparently overcome with grief, grieving for her husband, and strangely for the man on the pavement too, which looking back must have seemed odd. But her alibi holds. Witnesses confirm. She was at the wedding, dancing, miles away. She looks innocent, a tragic victim herself.
But the investigators couldn't shake the inconsistencies, the key, the geography. They noted the ages Ramy 24, Mohamed 30, Anhar 33, and the Kafr el-Sheikh connection between Anhar and Ramy. They knew they had to figure out how Ramy got that key, what his link to this house really was.
And then came the breakthrough, the moment everything changed. A neighbor steps forward. He was one of the first people to reach Ramy after he fell, and he heard Ramy's last words. Just before he died, Ramy managed to say, "Anhar knows everything."
That was it. Game over.
Yeah.
That dying declaration completely reframed the investigation. It wasn't a work feud anymore. It was conspiracy. It pointed directly at Anhar. Police immediately pull her phone records. And bingo, massive amounts of communication with Ramy, long-term contact. So they confront her with the key, the phone records, Ramy's final words. Her whole carefully constructed world just crumbled. She confessed everything, admitted she gave him the key, set the time, knew her husband was being murdered while she was dancing miles away.
Unbelievable. She was convicted, of course, sentenced to death, all stemming from this utterly selfish desire to maintain an impossible situation, this twisted belief that she could somehow make all parties happy through control and ultimately violence.
And you're left wondering about Ramy's final words, aren't you? Anhar knows everything. Was that a last-second pang of conscience, a way to get justice for Mohamed, the innocent man killed in their plot? Or was it pure revenge? A final act of betrayal against the woman who orchestrated the whole thing and left him to take the fall? Literally. We'll likely never know if he was trying to save her soul or condemn her.
Yeah, it's a chilling ambiguity. And the final thought we want to leave you with is this. Anhar's primary motivation, it seems, was avoiding the discomfort of a conversation. Asking for a divorce felt too hard, too painful for her. So to avoid that emotional difficulty, she chose murder, resulting in two violent deaths, the destruction of her family, her children's lives. What does that tell us about the real cost, the sometimes catastrophic cost, of refusing to face difficult truths and to have painful but necessary conversations? Something to think about.